Before we start any journey, we need to know where we actually want to go. And to begin this month's series of Money Magic videos, we actually need to examine where we actually want to go with the money magic. So that's what I want to discuss today. And on Friday, just to remind you, there's a live at 4 p.m. GMT time. And on Friday, I'm going to be discussing the actual nature of money. But today, let's just find out where we actually want to go and what we actually want. Right, so with money magic, as I said, with any journey, with any venture that we actually want to go on, or anything we actually want to accomplish, we need to know what we actually want to achieve, where we want to go, what our target is, what we want to accomplish. And in regards to money magic, this is actually very important. And I think a lot of people, especially when they first come into magic, but especially money magic, they aim at a goal that is not achievable. So just take a minute and just actually think about what you actually want. It's going to depend and change and differ from person to person depending on what situation you're actually in. So if, for instance, you are jobless and you're looking for a job and you need to get a job in order to pay the bills, then your aim would be a lot different to somebody who is in business, has a business, and is more or less trying to build an empire. But when it comes to money magic, what often happens is that somebody will just think, okay, well, I'm destitute, I need money, let's just aim for the top. I want to be rich. I want to be wealthy. The problem there is that it is very broad, and it is subject to opinion of what rich and what wealthy actually is. So let's just have a look at that quickly. So to be rich in our world today, and this is going to again differ from country to country, but if we actually look at it worldwide, if you read Financial Sorcery by Jason Miller, he actually goes through this. Obviously, the book was written a few years back, so the numbers would have probably changed. But when he wrote the book, the top 10% of earners in the worldwide, earn $25,500 a year. Now, if you're in the US, the numbers change. If you're in the UK, the numbers change. But this is worldwide, and you have to remember that when you're working with magic, and especially if you're working that magic with particular spirits, those spirits aren't defined by a country. They are universal. So if you go, if let's say you're earning $30,000 a year, and you go to Jupiter, and you say, "Make me rich," he's just going to stand there. He's going to laugh at you, and he's going to go, "Why? You're already rich." In your definition, you might not be, but you've got to remember you're working with these spirits, and whereas you might have a particular interpretation, they differ in that interpretation. So just to say you want to be rich is very broad and doesn't actually get the mark, doesn't actually get you to where you want to actually be. The other problem is that many people are rich. Rich is defined by the amount of income that you get. And there are many people who are rich, but they're not wealthy. So they get a lot of income coming in, but just as easily and quickly as it comes in, it goes out, and probably more, and those people are in debt. So somebody can have a very high income, and they can still be in debt because of the way they manage the money, the way they spend the money. So to ask to be rich is a bit of a misnomer. And the same thing with wealthy. When we speak about being wealthy, wealthy is basically the money that you have and that you hold. So wealth is dependent on how long you can go without having a paycheck. So if you've got enough money to keep you going for 6 months without a single paycheck in those 6 months, you have 6 months wealth. So to just say, I want to be wealthy, what does it mean? You know, wealthy or prosperous. It does mean on one level to be successful. But you can be successful without bringing in money. So, to ask to be wealthy is also one of those things that is a bit broad, can't really be defined exactly. But on the other side of the scale, we have the problem where, people understand this. They understand, asking to be rich, asking to be wealthy isn't going to actually bring you what you want, because, a spirit could be standing there and saying, well, what exactly do you want? I don't really understand. And you can ask them, if you're in the US, for instance, you can go to somebody on the street and say, what does it mean to be rich? And I'll give you a definition. They might give you a figure. You go to another person in a big company and you say, what does it mean to be rich? And they'll give you a completely different figure and probably a different answer. So when it comes to the spirits, they've got their own definitions. What does it mean to be rich? What does it mean to be wealthy? You can be wealthy in different ways. I can have a chocolate cake that's rich. So when it comes to words, they're a bit here and there. But on the other side of the scale, somebody may want a particular amount of money in order to pay a particular debt or a particular bill or a particular whatever it is. And so they will actually do their magic specific to that amount of money. So let's say it's $1,000. You need $1,000 to pay something off, to pay a bill, to buy a new I don't know, TV, whatever, computer, something, whatever it is, whatever you want to actually get the money for in order to spend it on. So you'll do your magic and you specifically say $1,000. Okay, and you may employ spirits, you may create a servitor to go and find this money and bring it to you. Now, there's a lot of wiggle room here because it's magic, so it is dependent on energies, and it is dependent on intent. And your intent, you may say a particular thing and you may think of something different. So I am getting very specific here. So let's say you do magic to get $1,000. So you've done the magic, it's gone. All you need to do now is just carry on with your normal life, your day, and just wait for this $1,000 to appear. So just for as an example, let's say you send off a servitor to go and find this $1,000 for you. And it's searching and searching and searching, and it comes across this business opportunity that would bring you $25,000. Wasn't $1,000 though, so forget about that one. So it goes off again, searching for this $1,000. Oh, there's an opportunity that could bring you $995. Nope, not $1,000. Forget about that one. And it keeps going and going and going and going. And it's gone through 100 opportunities that could have been brought your way looking for this $1,000 because you were very specific about this $1,000. And eventually it finds the $1,000 and brings it to you. You think, oh, fantastic, this works, brilliant. But the problem is those 100 opportunities could have brought you millions. So there is immediate magic and there is long-term magic. So you can have your immediate magic to bring you a particular amount at a particular time. It's fast, it's quick. So you need it. You need that money fast. You'll do immediate magic and it'll come. But there's also long-term magic, and that long-term magic is how you actually keep going. So you don't want to keep doing these little spells to bring you particular amounts of money. What you want to do is bring in a flow of income. And that flow of income will keep you going, and you can build it up more and more and more and more and bring in more money, more wealth, because that wealth can then be put away, or the money, some of the money can be put away, which creates wealth in that definition. So that's why you've got to actually think about what you actually want. Do you want that, just that $1,000 and you're okay? Nothing else matters. Or do you want to actually bring in more and more money? Do you want to find those opportunities that will bring you thousands and hundreds of thousands and millions of dollars? Or do you just want that specific amount? So this is why I say you've got to define and examine exactly what you want, and you need to create a roadmap on how to get there. And we'll be going through a lot of this during the month, and actually just examining how money works, what money actually does, where it wants to be, where it wants to go, and how to actually make it flow instead of just bringing in a particular amount and it stagnates and stops. So you need to keep it flowing. It needs to keep moving. So when it comes to actually examining what you want, as I say, it depends on who you are and what your position is. If you are jobless, looking for a job, your aim will be to actually get a job. And therefore you would go and apply for a particular amount of jobs. And with each one, you might use magic on each application to actually, get that job. And then you might have 5 jobs that you can choose from. You can choose the best one, and then you've got a job. But what you don't want to be doing is doing spell work to make you rich, because that's not going to get you a job. That's just going to backfire. That's not what your aim is. So you're asking for one thing, but you're aiming for a different thing. And that's just going to blow up in your face. If you have a job, maybe you're not happy where you are. Maybe you're not happy with your income. Maybe you want more money, so you want a promotion. Or maybe you want to create a side business that you can build up part-time while you still have a job, and then when it gets going and it's earning you more money than you're actually making in your full-time job, then you quit your job and you carry on with that. So that's a different goal and a different aim. A promotion is one aim. Building a side business is another aim. Or maybe you have a business already and it's battling, it's kind of stunted and it's not really moving forward. That's another goal, a different goal. Or you have a business which is actually flourishing, it's going, and you want to build an empire. Again, a different goal. So you need to actually examine exactly what you want and then go for it. One problem that I myself actually have, and I'm sure a lot of other people do, is that you start creating this roadmap. So you want to go from A to B to C to D to E, etc., 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 and that builds up the income. It builds up your business, your empire, your future, your career, your promotion. You've got to go from step A to step B to step C and build it up that way. But what happens often is that you kind of start getting a clear vision of what that roadmap looks like. So you know what A is, you know what B is, then you're going to move on to C. But all of a sudden, a big expense comes up, and you're kind of out of money, and you need a quick influx of money. So that roadmap all of a sudden becomes a bit fuzzy, and you want to get to the end of the roadmap, because the end of the roadmap means you've got a lot of money and you want that now because you're in trouble. And that then starts mixing things up, starts messing things around, it starts throwing things out of sync and throwing spanners in the works and everything else. So you need to actually get a clear goal of how you're going to get to that final destination, that target point, and you need to stick to it. If something does come up that is about to knock you off that path, then move away, pause it. Don't try and jump ahead, just pause it for a little while and do something different in order to correct it. Then go back to where you left off and continue on the path. If you start jumping around willy-nilly and, left, right and center and all over the place, you're just going to confuse the whole system and it's just going to blow up in your face. And that is actually quite difficult. It does actually require some discipline. But it is something that you actually need to do in order to achieve your final, your goal, get to your final destination. As I say, otherwise you just blow everything up and then you have to start at point A again, then to point B, then to point C, then to point D, and then something comes up again and you blow it all up again. And you just keep repeating the same cycle over and over and over again. This is definitely a problem I have had. So I'm speaking from experience here. So that's why I say you just need to follow that path. If you need to just step back from the path for a little while just to correct something that's come up, because it's life. Things come up, shit happens, things go wrong. Then do something outside of that path that then corrects the thing that popped up, and then continue with the path. So just keep that in mind. Very important. So I think you get the idea. You need to actually examine exactly what you want, and you need to think of, it's magic, it's spell work. You need to think of the task, the goal, and everything from as many different angles and perspectives as you can think of. So you may say, I want to be rich, and you have a particular thing or a particular image or a particular visualization in your head, but it's magic. You're working with energies, not just your own energy, but other energies. You're working with the energy of money. You're working with the energy of particular spirits, servitors, whatever it is. You might even be working with nature spirits. So, you're not the only one in control here. You are working with different energies that will bring a different perspective into the whole shebang. I don't know where the word shebang came from there, but anyway, we'll just carry on. So, because you're working with all these different energies, you need to think about how these energies could affect what you're asking for. I want to be rich. Why? You're already rich. Why do you want to be rich? What defines rich? Is there a particular figure? Is it $1 million? What's $1 million nowadays? It's nothing. You can't retire on $1 million. So, $10 million. Okay, so $10 million. What's $10 million? You can go blow it in a week. It really doesn't matter. Rich means absolutely nothing unless you have an actual particular goal to move forward to, and to actually continuously bring in a flow of money, a flow of income. Because it's no good bringing in a flow of income for 6 months and then that's it. What's that going to get you? You've got the rest of your life ahead of you. So you've got to keep bringing that flow of money, and that flow of income needs to become more and more and more and grow. If it doesn't grow, then you're going to end up at a point where you become stagnant. And you're just going to stop and stand still. So the money's got to flow, the money's got to move, and you've got to flow with it, and you've got to move with it. And you've got to keep adjusting and adapting and changing. Don't be afraid to change. Change is a fantastic thing. It can often be scary, but it is a fantastic thing. And it is something you need to actually just come to terms with. Change is going to happen, regardless of whether you want it to or not. So if you change with whatever is happening and how things are flowing, then you can actually move. Your magic can move, your magic can flow. The universe is in constant flux and motion. It is never ever still. It is total chaos. It's always moving. So you need to move with it. It's no good standing still. It's no good being afraid of change. I know you can be afraid of change and still change. So, there is actually no reason why you should not be afraid of change. It can be scary, as I said. But as long as you can actually get over that and actually move and change instead of just going, I'm not going to go anywhere because I'm too scared to. You've got to just face it. Just face the fears and just move. And as per usual, I'm going to start rambling again. So I'm going to end this one here today, and I will see you hopefully on Friday. If you do have the time, as I say, at 4 p.m. GMT every Friday, there's a live. Come along. You can ask whatever questions you want to, and hopefully I'll see you there. So have a great week. Cheers.